Hi, today we are going to be taking 76%. This is when we had 76% left of our 100th day party. But what we've done is we've started from 80 and now we're counting back because after our 100th day of school, we only had 80 days left of school. So now we're not talking about percent. So we're just going to hide that because that's not valid any longer. But we have 76 days left of school. And so we're going to try to do some fun stuff with the number 76. We know that since we have 76 days left of school, we know that there are 180 days in the school year. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to practice. We've done this a couple days, so after I'm done giving the question, I want you to pause and just in your mind tell yourself how you would go about solving this problem. If I were to ask you, we have 76 days left of the school year, what percent of the school year do we have left? Press pause and see if you can answer it. Okay, if you said that you know that a fraction is the same thing as a division problem, and you can always find a percent of a fraction by dividing the top or the bottom into the top, then all you're going to do to find out what percent of the school year we have left is you're just going to divide 180 because that's the whole school year. Remember, the denominator is always what the whole is cut up into. And in my question, I said, what percent of the school year? So percent means out of 100, and the school year, the whole is 180. Do we have left? Well, we have 76 days left. So I could, because I know this is a division problem, 76 divided by 180, I could write 76 divided by 180, and I know because I'm dealing with percent out of 100, I cut 76 up into 100 parts by putting my decimal point and adding my two place values. But look how big these numbers are. We could do it, but it would take you 10,000 million years. So what we do in math is we first, before we attempt this, even though it would work out, we simplify it. We put this fraction into the simplest terms. That way when we go to divide, we're not dealing with such huge numbers. Now we've done this for 100 days and luckily both of our numbers are both even. So I'm going to do my trick of just if I know the numerator and the denominator are both even, I'm just going to cut them in half. And I know 76 divided by 2, or same thing as cutting in half, is 38. And I know half of 180 is 90. Well, look. I see both still two even numbers. 38 is even and 90 is even. I know that because just like these numbers, an even number ends in 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. And I do have that. So I'm going to cut this in half again. And I know that 38 divided by 2, or cut in half, is 19. And I know 90 cut in half is 45. Now looking at this, I know that 19 is prime. If I didn't know, I could go in my toolbox and divide by my first 5 prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13. But none of them go in there. I know that from experience. If you want to see if I'm right, go ahead and try it. But I know that this is in its simplest form. So now instead of dealing with 76 out of 180, I'm dealing with the same ratio or the same value of 19 out of 45. And now I'm going to divide, because once again, this is still a division problem. I'm going to write 19 divided by 45. And now I'm dealing with so much easier numbers than 180, but it's still the same value, still the same ratio. So how do I do that? 45 can't go into 19. So once again, you cut your 19 up into 100 pieces. There, I just cut up into 10 pieces, and now I cut it up into 100 pieces. I could keep adding zeros, cut up into 1,000, cut up into 10,000. I could go on forever. But percent means out of 100. So I'm just going to do 2 place values to the right. Bring my decimal point straight up. Now we got something here. How many times does 45 go into 1? That would be none. How many times does 45 go into 19? None. That's why we added our 2 zeros. 45, how many times does that go into 190? Now, I see some kids just going 45 times 1, 45 times 2, 45 times 3, and they do the whole thing up to 11 to find out how many times it goes into 190. And even though that will work, oh my goodness, it takes forever. So what I like to do is I like to just estimate. I know that 190 is closest to 200. And I know 45, front end estimating, is closest to 50. Well, how many times does 50 go into 200? Well, if that's still too big, just cut off a 0 on each side because they cancel each other out. So how many times does 5 go into 20? That would be 4. So that's my guess. So now I do 45 times 4. Now, it won't always work, but it'll either be one higher or one lower, always. And so I know 4 times 5 is 20, and 4 times 4 is 16, 17, 18, 180. Well, looky there. Didn't my estimation get me right there? Look how much time estimating, front end estimating these two. That's why you went over front end estimating in 4th grade and did rounding in 5th grade, so you could apply it in your math. See how cool that is? Okay, so now I'm going to subtract. I know that 0 minus 0 is 0. 9 minus 8 is 1. Bring down the 0, and I'm going to do the same thing. Well, I don't need to front end estimate because it's already at 100. How neat was that? And I know 45 front end estimate is 50. Well, how many times does 50 go into 100? Well, if that's too big, cut off your 2 zeros. How many times does 5 go into 10? Well, that would be 2. So I'm going to write it here. So 45, oops, I was thinking 2. 45 times 2 is 90. And 100 minus 90 is 10. So I know, oh, I should have written it up here. I'm sorry. I should have written the 4 up here because 4 times 45 is 180. And now my 2 goes here. So I know that I have decimal point 42 or 42 hundredths left of the school year. Because remember, that was the initial question, right? What percent of the school year do I have left? Well, I've converted that fraction into a decimal, and we've learned for 100 days that percents, fractions, and decimals are the same. Well, how do I convert decimal point 42 into a percent? Percent means out of 100. This is out of, so I just moved my decimal point over 2 spaces, and that means 42%. So I have 42% left of the school year. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that cool? That's applying math. And every day we're going to do something like this so you can apply the math that we've learned, and you will really have a great concept of percents, fractions, and decimals for the rest of your life.